Welcome back here to Mountain Connections. Thanks so very much for staying tuned to Park City Television. Very excited to have our next guest in with us. He is a great friend of the station and of the show. His name is Mr. Bill Humbert. You know him as the recruiter guy and the author of this amazing book, Employee 5.0, Secrets of a Successful Job Search in the New World Order. Mr. Bill Humbert, how are you doing today, sir?
Diego, I'm doing very well, thank you.
Excellent. Catch us up on what's been going on with you since the last time we've seen you. Any speaking tours, anything like that?
Well, I did the Boise State.
How'd it go?
It went great.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was they flew me up, flew me back in the same day, so it was a lot of this for about an hour of speaking, and it was fun. And I've received lots of compliments, and
I'm sure you did.
And that was fun. And then I started a recruiting contract with HID Global, and they're an international cybersecurity firm.
Excellent.
And so, you know, the things that we talk about, I put into practice.
You're implementing them on a daily basis. So let's talk about the topic today, which is successful talent attraction. Obviously, this is going to be the key, especially if you're working in a sector like security or cybersecurity. You're going to want to hire the cream of the crop, right? You're protecting very secure data. You could be working for a health company protecting some very private information. You want the very best of the best. How can we ensure, as someone who's recruiting, as someone who's hiring, that we are going to get the very best?
Well, you know, most companies try to use technology to magically expect that candidates will appear. And it doesn't happen that way. And unfortunately, they're not training their recruiters to do anything more than pull resumes out of an applicant tracking system. And then they contact that person and have them interview, and then they extend an offer, and maybe they'll get them, maybe they won't. So the technology is important for tracking people, but it's not good for recruiting people.
So it's good for like the analytics side of things, for kind of tracking data over time or keeping track of a large pool of applicants. But when it comes down to finding the right person for the job, it comes back down to just meeting the person face to face.
Yes. And it's not just meeting the person first face to face. I spend a lot of time on the phone with a candidate.
Okay.
And you know what I have found, Diego, is that candidates actually want that time. And especially if what you're doing is you're talking to them about what their dreams are and what their interests are in a company, and understanding the culture that they will thrive in and the kind of job and kind of manager that really makes them feel good.
It's really, as always, it always comes back down to communication and really figuring out what needs to be understood on both sides for this job to be accomplished fully. So let's talk about some of those questions that you ask and what you talk about as a recruiter when you're talking to some of these candidates, the type of job profile, these sort of things, correct?
That's correct. So I normally initially start talking to them and asking them about what it is that they want to do next. Because if my job is not that, then you know, we shouldn't go any further.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why spend the time? And there have been many times candidates have said to me, you know, I really appreciate the fact that you were up front and saying, this is not the right job for you.
It saves them time and it saves you time.
Exactly. So I like to ask them what it is that they want to do, what kind of a culture they thrive in, and get that basis of trust with them first.
I was going to say, I think above everything else, as you said, it establishes that trust so early on that it makes the rest of the process so much smoother.
That's correct.
So when it comes time to actually onboard or offer time, as you like to say, what happens at that point?
Well, through the entire process, what a lot of people don't understand is we are selling that person their work dreams. And that's so important.
Absolutely.
And when you come to the time when you're extending an offer to them, you already have all the knowledge that you need. And this is a sales process to close that person on this job. It's important for people to understand that people don't like change.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point.
And look what happens when you are trying to ask a person to change jobs, to move to a new town.
Absolutely.
To help their spouse could be working someplace.
A lot of these people are professionals. They have families, they have spouses who are also in other professional areas in jobs, so it can be a big thing to uproot your whole life.
It can. And you know, and then they have their children. We moved our two daughters from Maryland to Iowa, and our older daughter was going into junior year of high school.
Wow. Yeah, that can be a tough move.
Yeah, and our younger daughter was going to 7th grade. And and my wife was a nurse, so she had to find a new position. So it was a big move for everybody in the family.
So as a candidate, you have to be sure, or you want to be sure, that the move is going to be right and it's going to be smooth. So as someone who's recruiting, that's got to be a key and a major step in that process. As we said, kind of building that trust and ensuring that it's going to be a good process for them.
A good process, and to find out, as we move forward and get into the offers, sometimes I'll say to them, is there anything that would prevent you from accepting this offer? Well, it could be my husband has a job as a doctor. Well, great. There's all kinds of medical facilities here in Salt Lake City or in most big cities.
That's great.
And, we can ensure that he finds something that satisfies his needs too. So it's one of those things where you have to help them find the right thing, not only for them, but also for their family.
For their circumstances, whatever
Right.
circumstance that may be. So
That's right.
I think you made a great point in stating that, from the recruiting side, it's almost like a sales position in the sense that you are selling the job position to the most successful candidate, or the best candidate for that position.
That's correct. It's not almost. It is
exactly.
absolutely a sales process. I am a sales guy.
Yeah.
And I love it when somebody says to me, they're trying to sell me something. They say, well, I'm not a salesperson. And I go, no. I'm a sales guy. I know what a sales guy looks like.
That's so great. Well, successful talent attraction is just one of the many topics in your book, Employee 5.0. Where can people get their hands on this book, and where are you going to be doing any speaking tours next, Bill?
Right now, you can get it on Amazon. That's the best way, because Amazon Prime, it's a day, you've got it.
Absolutely. Best thing about Amazon.
That's right. There's bookstores in Iowa and Maryland, here at Dolly's, that carry Employee 5.0. I'm really proud of it. Actually, somebody read it recently and sent me a note and said, I found a typo. And so there's actually one typo,
a single
in
typo.
in that book.
Bill challenges you to find it, if you can find it too.
That's right. So there's that, and I'm doing my recruiting, and I'm on the board of the Mountain West chapter of the National Speakers Association.
Excellent. Mr. Bill Humbert, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your expertise. As always, we really appreciate the great tips. As he said, you can find this book in major book retailers, and if you can, support your local bookstore here in Park City, Dolly's Bookstore. Pick this up. Very, very great insights in this book, and if you are recruiting, or if you are an employee looking for a job as well, this is a great read for you. We'll be right back with much more right here on Mountain Connections after this short break.